Hello, lovely people. Oh my goodness. Welcome back to the Revelations of a Ranting Sheep. I am your host, Cynthia Lahoma, and I am distressed. Okay. Last time I was having issues with my video, and today was like on 100. I didn't know what was going on. I was struggling like nobody has ever struggled before, because I was really thinking about how I'm going to put this together, right? And I didn't even realize that tomorrow is Mother's Day, which is interesting how everything just kind of fell into place perfectly. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't want to show myself. I want to show the person. And I'm like, okay, I mean, that's easy, right? I could do my Zoom, the slideshow, everything is going to be great. But, I also need to make sure that I could be heard. And man, oh man, I am so happy that I did that, because if I would have recorded a whole thing and put it out and realized the mess that was going on in my background, I would have been exclamation point upset. And I've been struggling for the past like 45 minutes to an hour, if it's not more. Oh, thank God. Thank the Lord that I took this time off to do this. So technically, this is my second take. And even in the second take, I was still kind of struggling, but it was a little bit better. But guys, I finally did it. I got it. I got it. And because I already anticipate that this is going to be a bit of a long video, I'm going to just get straight to the point instead of describing everything that's happening right now. So, as I share with you my intimate memories with my mom, um, I figured I'll use the slideshow that I used um, at the top of 2021 to just remember her one last time with friends and family. So, Miss Celia Euphemia Nightingale. My mom was born on October 16th uh, to Sylvester and Norma Nightingale. My grandparents stayed married till my grandfather passed away. I'm going to try to just give the important details, um, or the relevant. I don't necessarily think it's important, like the relevant uh, details to the entire story that I want to share. She was one of 6 children, um, the youngest of which passed away. Um, he was hit by a drunk driver, I believe. And she was the first girl. So she was the third child. 2 boys are older than her. And she's the second to go. Growing up, the stories that my mom shared with me were basically that she had a better relationship with my grandfather. My grandmother didn't really care to be what we may define a mother to be. Um, and just to give my own, uh, if I may call it foolish opinion, because I don't really know, right? I'm just assuming per how I live my life and the things that I've seen. I think it's because she was a young person. My grandmother was really young when she had her first child. And I'm assuming still pretty young when she got married to my grandfather. So, young people don't exactly understand the fullness that's required um, of an individual to be a parent. Um, and I even thought, do I want to share certain things? And you know what? It's not relevant to my mom's story. So I won't. Um, I'm going to definitely try to dial in my emotions of the family and focus as much as possible on my mom. And I'm going to do this in one take, honey. I'm not editing none of this out. All of this is going to stay in. So, because my grandmother was young, I believe is the reason why once my mom was of age, she made my mom do all the things. I call my mom's life the real life Cinderella story because my grandmother wasn't very nice to her. She did a lot of, and when I use a lot, that's also like subjective because I'm only going by the stories that my mom have told me. I didn't know the day to day. And I'm sure, when we have pain, we sometimes tend to forget um, the abundance of good times because the bad times weigh so much more. So when I say a lot, just kind of left that slide off of you. Um, but it affected my mom the way my grandmother treated her. It affected her deeply. And I could understand it because to a certain extent, and I'm going to try to, because I'm already tearing up, I'm going to try to control that. To a certain extent, she gave me that energy as well. But I'm thankful that she shared her stories with me because it allowed me to be a little bit more graceful towards her. So my mom I'm not really sure at what age, but I'm assuming before a teenager, I'm assuming anywhere between 9 and 10 years old, my mom had to start taking care of not only her older siblings, but the siblings that came after her. And she had to cook, clean, take care of, babysit, be parents. She had to share all her things. I don't know, like it was just a lot. It was really a lot. And there's one more girl. It's two girls, and then everyone is boys. The other girl got way better treatment per my mom's POV. And I believe it because I see it I've seen it in action. Anyways, I've seen it in action. I was holding back extra information that does not need to be given. So yes, I've seen it in action. And so I believe her. I believe the stories that my mom told me. I don't think there's no reason for her to lie about the what was traumatic to her. And because of that, I believe that she needed to find a way to leave the house. Like she couldn't handle it, or maybe she didn't want to handle it. It was becoming too much. And she just decided that she was going to elope with her boyfriend and get married and start a life. And so I can't even really say um, if that story was like the inspiration to me wanting to just find a guy and leave. I really don't think it was. I think it was I mean, I don't know. I can't remember. I can't fully say if how she went about life is the reason why I wanted to go about life that way. But once I do remember, like maybe it was before, because I remember when she told me the story, I felt to myself several times later, like, well, she did it. That's how I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? Um, but let's skip forward a bit more just to not make this 12 hours long, even though she deserves all 12 hours. um, so wild stories of her growing up, not just from her parents, but from just the neighborhood. If you could imagine back in 1953, she was born in Panama, by the way, um, how things were back then with a family of eight. We're talking maybe two bedrooms, one for the parents and the other one for the rest of the kids. Um, However, I think that my grandfather recognized how she was being treated. And so he did cultivate a relationship with her um, than he did with the other kids, honestly. Again, POV, my POV. And my great grandmother, she also had an amazing relationship with my great grandmother, um, who um, taught her how to bake. My great grandmother had a school where she in her own home is not North America where you have to have a license for everything. This is outside of America where you can do and get money. Nobody's regulating how you're getting money. And so my great grandmother had a school in her home where she taught a small group of women how to decorate cakes. And my mom, I believe she was 7 years old, 8 years old, was the youngest person in the class learning how to decorate. My great grandmother, as well as her son, my grandfather, also taught her how to sew. And so when she was a teenager, into adulthood, she worked at my grandfather's tailor shop, um, just helping with, your your common um, hems and whatnot. I don't think she built clothes, but my grandfather did make clothes for people, but she only helped with like the minor things. And she used to make a lot of her clothes. I'm not sure if any of the pictures, like I can't really say like, oh, she made that thing. I think those pictures I have somewhere else. But it's safe to say that maybe my great grandmother did make like a dress for her, whatever. She never taught me how to sew, by the way. Still salty about that. So my mom got married and she had her first child, a girl who passed away, um, I believe, about 3 months later. I'm not really sure of that timeline. I think she did tell me, but when my mom shared that story with me, she shared it plenty of times, and I've never really had the guts to ask her any details. I just allowed her to speak about it as she felt inclined to, because I could just imagine how she felt, you know? So I never really asked her much details, but I think it was about 3 months later. And she would constantly think about it, wondering why, what happened, what did she do? And I remember one time we were talking about it, and she told me how possessive my grandmother was. And I think that was the first and last time that she ever kind of like thought, you know, it was her. Like it was, she didn't just say her, but she was like, it was the family and how they hassled me because, my mom, I think she got married at 21. So my mom was young. Um, and typically parents like to baby their people. Like it's almost like, and I've seen this firsthand with friends where their mothers constantly are taking the child away from their mother because they think they could do a better job. And it's like, it's really heartbreaking that, child, I'm not even gonna get into that either. I need to stay focused. I really do, because I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna go off because this whole entire story, this whole narrative is just really emotional for me. Um, but yes, she was an overbearing grandparent slash mother who would constantly um, see my mom as basically an unfit mother. Like when you do that, you're saying that this is an unfit mother. Oh, my brain is trying me right now, just bringing me stories of other people. I'm not gonna do it though. Um, anyways, her daughter passed, and I think about 3 years later, she had another child, my oldest brother. And then about 6 years later, she had another child, the middle child, he is called. I call him the middle child. I'm not going to say any names. Um, and then during that time, um, she got a divorce, and approximately 6 years from the last child, then I was born. Um, she met my father through one of her brothers, and I don't even know what she saw in him, to tell you the truth. I mean, I can't really even draw a picture of him if I tried. Um, I guess if I stand next to him, you would say I look like him. I have like my mom's features. Um, I look like both of them. Like I have my mom's cheekbones, my mom's nose, and her face shape, and then I have his eyes, his complexion. Um, well, some of his complexion. I would think that I'm a little bit darker than him, but you know, and so on and so forth. So um, that's another story that I never really asked information about. However, growing up, my brothers, more so my older brother, constantly made fun. Like he took that opportunity to constantly tease me about me not being wanted, and me being like, he would say, oh, I was found in the garbage. And, you know, I don't think that I ever expressed this to him or to her. Sometimes she would tell him to stop. Other times she would just like, I guess she would be just so exasperated, like, I'm done. I cannot. I'm not going to say anything anymore, which is really unfortunate because um, when you're a child, in his mind, he's playing, right? And that's cool, but you're almost 12 years older than me. You understand a lot more than I do at that point. But, this is the generation where therapists absolutely would not like, that's not a thing. You know what I mean? And so nobody knows anything about mental health. It's like, I'm teasing you, like it is what it is, get over it, you know? And I'm young. I'm 3, 4, 5, 6, you know what I'm saying? And I'm hearing these things, and this is a constant narrative that I'm hearing, and it created insecurities in me. Isn't it better for you guys to see video instead of seeing me constantly crying? Anyway, so it created insecurities in me. Um, and I really, I don't know, like I really was disappointed at the fact that she didn't stop it more. But you know, she had her own insecurities. And this was also before I was able to understand that she's not superwoman, you know, that she's also a human just like me, right? And because our family has so much pain, pain that I don't really know about, pain that I can't even say, oh, you have pain because of this, and that. But typically, you know, like comedians tell you all the time, the reason they're funny is because of the pain that they went through. Like that's where comedy comes from. Comedy comes from pain. And my family, big clowns, big time clowns. Like we laugh at everything. Like I really had to learn how to control myself when I saw somebody trip, fall, any kind of like thing like that, because like we would laugh at those things. It's really, really terrible. Um, and so because we joke around so much, now in my mature mindset, I understand like, wow, there's so much pain in this family, and I don't even know what it is. Um, but according to things that have happened to me, I could kind of take a guess of a lot of what's going on in people's spirits. So, anyways, flash forward one more time. My grandparents, everybody, like all the siblings, moved to um, North America, specifically the East. So, I have family in New York, family in Jersey, family in Florida, and then everyone else is scattered after. But like the first set came to New York. And so my grandparents wanted everyone here. There's only one sibling that has never moved to New York. He still lives in Panama. And so uh in 98, in January of 98, we moved to New York. We lived with my grandparents for about 2 years, maybe. It's probably a year, but I'm gonna say 2 years. And I think there was something there where my mom just felt like it's time for her to go. If I'm making too much noise, I'm so sorry. I have the mic like right by my mouth. I'm gonna try to edit this out, even though I said I wouldn't. Um, I think there was some conflict when my mom left, because I don't remember her leaving like in peace. I remember us leaving out of necessity, and my oldest brother decided to stay. And so we moved just a few blocks away from where they lived. And that was the beginning of like, I literally moved all over Brooklyn, y'all. Like, okay, maybe, like, okay, so we moved in different sections in Canarsie several times. my gosh, several times. I'm not even gonna go down the list. Then we like lived in different areas of East Flatbush. Then we lived in Flatbush. Then we lived in Queens for one hot second when I was in elementary school. Um, and until I finally got my own place and I moved us back to Queens, which, child, did I tell that story? I don't know if I did, but I'll be telling you about this apartment and how blessed it is for me to be here. Um, but anyway, so yeah, so she moved us out and we moved a lot. It was like every time the landlord would say they're gonna raise the rent, my mom decided that was time to move. And I'm just like, it was a lot. Like at first I enjoyed it, but then when she finally found like this amazing place, which it was amazing in space because I got my first room and everything. Um, but it was terrible in every other way. Like it was rat infested. And when I say rat, because I know sometimes we say rat, but we really mean mouse or mice. Um, I'm talking rats, okay, in East Flatbush, Avenue A. Shoot. I'm not even gonna say who owned that house because that would probably be low key disrespectful. It'll probably be my first video that gets a whole bunch of views because the shorty being disrespectful, son. But so I'm not even gonna do it. But man, that house, oh my gosh, great space, terrible in every other sense. And then this woman used to have whatever it is that she used to do, people used to want to like come in and basically burn down. Like one time this dude came to burn down the house because she was messing with his paperwork. And I saw my mom outside the window, but I didn't know what was going on. I thought she just knew dude, or maybe dude like was asking her a question. And what was happening was that she was like, let me go get my daughter first. Like, if you're really convinced to do this thing, let me go get my daughter because she's inside. Oh my gosh. Anyway, um, so my relationship with my mom, uh, let me just touch on this part really quickly because I just love telling people how when my mom was pregnant with me, the doctor told her that I was going to be a boy. And, she already had two other boys. So she figured, okay, great. But then she also was like, she told me that she felt like, I know he's saying that it's a boy, but this doesn't feel like my last two pregnancies. This feels different. And so even though she picked out my name, she also had like girl names ready because she just knew. She was like, I don't know. And I remember telling this story to one of my coworkers. You know what? I'm not gonna do that. Oh my gosh. It is so hard to stay on point. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. Look at my grandpa. I just saw him on. And so turned out she was right. I'm a girl. My first name um was in honor of a woman from church that she knew, that she really looked up to, I guess. And then my middle name, she told me that she found or she heard my middle name on a telenovela. If y'all know what novelas is, it's just a soap opera. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? But honestly, like after looking up my name, um, so my Cynthia is like the moon goddess or something like that, which to me, like for me, okay, guys, For me, everything. Look at my mom. I think she was 7 in that picture. So cute. And she looks the same through and through. That's my older brother, y'all, and his wife. Mm-mm-mm. So I felt like it really explained my night owl situation. Like, your girl be up used to be up late at night, and sometimes I still am, but like I used to be really, really bad. Like, I used to sometimes stay up until the sun is coming up and then be like, oh shoot, it's time to go to bed. um and then as I got older, like late 20s, things really started to change for me. And at first, when I used to look up my middle name, I couldn't find anything. But as Google grows, I finally found they finally put it in record, and Lahoma actually stands for, it's like a, oh goodness, is a native name. I can't remember which tribe though. I can't remember which tribe, but it's a native name that stands for the people. And I was just like, when I found that out, I was like, yo, if God wasn't working, I don't know. I don't know who was, because that really is just so subtle, but also so to the point. Like, just I um the way I move, um the way I feel about people, even though I'm constantly like, you know what, I'm not gonna do that no more. I'm tired of folks. But I can't help myself. Like, I'm really here for the people, not in a way that society expects you to be, but in the way that my father put me on this earth to be. And so I know that biblical, how he gives people a different name. I felt like when I finally got understanding of myself, I felt like he gave me my name. And so, I'm really in a period of, like, I've been in here for like about a year, like in my mind, thinking of if I'm gonna drop my first name because I don't know that lady. I don't know that lady, right? So I'm really like thinking to drop my first name, but I also still want to honor my mom. But also, this is something that I thought of even when I was a young adult, when I did my citizenship. And they did, like, there's a question when you're filling out the paperwork, if whether you want to change your name. And I asked my mom, I'm like, Ma, like, should I change my name? Like, should I make my middle name my official name? And she was like, well, do you want to? Like, you're gonna have to change a lot of other paperwork that you already have. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, sounded like a lot of work. And I eventually was like, you know what? Yeah. But then when she passed away, I was talking to my other brother about it. And he he was like, yeah, that's cool. But then he said something else. And I was like, oh shoot. Like, the point that he made that had nothing to do with me, but it was still a good point, was just about the workforce and how people choose resumes according to the name that they're reading. And let's be real, like, Cynthia is the name that's always going to be picked, right? At least out of curiosity, versus a more African sounding name. Even though my name is not African, but it's outside of the Caucasian narrative, the Caucasian perspective. You understand? So I was like, but now that I'm working for myself, which was what was going to happen anyways, But sometimes we have like our insecurities that we're just like, but is it? Maybe I am going to go back into the workforce or whatever. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe I won't. But now that I'm like, this is full throttle, like this is going to happen. And even if I do go back into the workforce, my name is my name. Okay, period. Like either you want to hire me for what I could bring to your company, or you don't, and that's okay. And somebody else will reap the benefits of my amazing um talents. You know what I mean? So I'm still in the middle because I'm like, oh, maybe just so many things, guys. So many things. Oh my goodness. Okay, back on track. Back on track. So she wasn't offended when I asked if I should change my name. So that was great. So if I do decide to drop the Cynthia, which, I know myself, and when I constantly have questions that would not leave me, what ends up happening is the thing that I cannot stop thinking about. So I'll let y'all know when I'm officially just Lahoma. And it's probably going to happen when I get married because I don't want to go through that paperwork, and since you have to go through paperwork when you're changing your last name, it's just easier to be like, oh, great. I'm dropping not just my last name, but I'm also dropping the first name. So I'm going to be Lahoma, whatever. Oh, should I be giving myself a different name? I did think that I was going to bring my last name into my middle name, because I don't want to hyphenate it. This family doesn't deserve me. I'm sorry. Like, they don't. I was actually given to my mom as a gift from the Lord, which that's an excellent segment. Uh, let me talk about what society calls bastard children, which that's what I was talking before I got into this whole rant, right? So my mom gets pregnant with me. She was not married to my father. I guess she wanted to get it in, and she got it in, and the Lord said, bad, but also I'm going to bless you with this life. And my mom didn't understand that because in those days, people only saw pregnancy as a blessing when it was done under the covering of marriage. But if you got pregnant outside of that, not just the action is sin, but that child is sin. And that's not true. Your life you are not a bastard. Your life is not a sin. Like, the Lord is very intentional about the spirits that he puts on this earth, about the life that he puts on this earth. You are a answer to a question, or you are an answer to a problem, as they say in some churches. What my mom did with my father, with my, I don't even want to call him father. Let's call him by his name, shall we? Because I have one father and one father only who's been there for me my entire life. What my mother did with Jose was the sinful part. She should have never done that. And everyone around her life made her, it was almost like they were stoning her with words. Not just her family, but I would say even her church members, friends, acquaintances, anybody and everybody, they let her know that she made a big mistake. And that's something that she shared with me right before she passed away. She would share things here and there, but the fullness of the story, like everything that she told me, it was different. It was different. And it was so funny because at this point, she was still able to communicate with us. And it was late at night and she was making a lot of noise. So I decided to go on the bed with her just to comfort her. And she she was like trying to get me off the bed. And I'm like, no, you not. I am not getting off this bed. We gonna sleep in this bed together. And she was like, oh, all right. I'll tell you about um I'll tell you about when I got pregnant with you. This is not verbatim. I can't really, but it's the energy, the spirit, the idea, the synopsis, if you will. Um, so I was like, in my head, I didn't say it to her, but in my head, I was like, girl, ain't nobody was asking you that. So anyways, I was like, shoot, I'm gonna stay quiet. I'm gonna hear what you gotta say. Because you've said things here and there, but nothing was super concrete. It was super vague. And so she went on to tell me as best as she could, right? Because she could still communicate, but it was still like a little bit hard to understand her. And she basically just said, I met your father, and to a certain extent, he had a problem. Like, he was scared about the fact that he liked her, because as you can see, my mom is Afro Latina, okay? And more Afro than Tina, like I like to say about myself, even though for me, the reason I say I'm more Afro than Tina is because I grew up around Black folks, honey. Like, you're not gonna get no kind of docile European energy from me. You're gonna get all the neck swings, like all the hand flinging, you're gonna get all the things. Um, and my mom wasn't that way. She was more so she was a lot less feisty, unless you really popped off, and then she gonna finish it. But it was hard to get her to that point. She was really good at just keeping her composure. Like, just that's just her gift. Like, that's how God made her. Um, but I say that she's more Tina because obviously she's melanated, honey. She has all the melanin. And so because he was what do you call the people? Because I don't really know. Like, I think mestizo, or maybe that's a Mexican thing. I'm not sure, but like he's more European, Native American. Listen to me, um, European and Native Panamanian mix. So the natives from Panama, so Indian. Let's just simplify it. Um, European and Panamanian, Native Panamanian. Ugh, God, Indian people. What? Okay, my brain. Okay, let's try that one more time. European and Indian, whatever that mix is called, that's what Jose is. So he was concerned because I think his mother like had an issue with melanated folks. You know what I mean? And so they kind of just hid and had their little relationship, their little rendezvous, which I don't know why my mom has a thing for short. Like, even her first husband is short. I don't know. I can't say if he's shorter than her, but he's short. I'm gonna say he's shorter than her because she used to joke that she was taller than him, but not by much. My mom is. I was taller. We all taller than my mom. I'm 5'7", and my mom was like 5'5", and Jose is short. He is so short. We got all of us have our height from my mom, which is interesting how DNA works, because she wasn't that tall, right? But we're all like tall. I'm 5'7", which is tall for a woman. And the middle child is like 5. 5'11", 6 foot, I think 5'11". And then my older brother is it terrible that I say the middle child and then I say my older brother? I just don't know, because if you say old, okay, eldest, the eldest, my older brother, and then the eldest brother. That's what I'm gonna start saying, because I think it's a little bit like sus to even describe them in that way. So my eldest brother is like 5'10", 5'9", 5'10", somewhere around there. So we're all tall, um, taller than her. Um, so they did their thing, and when she turned out to be pregnant, he kind of played. I believe she told me he like played the, oh, how do I know that's my child or whatever. And I'm about to cry right now because she started crying. Like, she was telling me the story and she was just fine. But when she got to that part, she got really emotional. And my mom never said anything to me that ever like, she never talked down about him. She was, like I said, she was very brief. She would say little things like, oh, you just like your father. Like, because I used, like, when it's really hot, I would open the freezer and just stand there, just, or maybe sometimes I'll put my head in, and she'd be like, oh, you just like your father. He would do stuff like that too. And she just kept it very vague, very light. And so when she was telling me this, and she got emotional about that part, for the first time, I'm like, I freaking hate him. I hate him. Like, how dare you? How dare you? And my mom was older, so she wasn't necessarily a younger girl. She was already in her mid-30s when she got pregnant with me. But it just made her really sad that now she's pregnant and this man has the audacity, out of his own fear and just uncertainty of how his family is going to react to this. Now he's like, oh, how do I know? But you see, that's what we get when we end up sleeping with men who choose to not commit themselves to us. This is what happens. So it's really a story that I'm glad she shared with me. And even though I didn't keep my innocence until marriage, it's definitely something. I'm so happy that I always was safe uh, with the people, with my partners or whatever, because trust and believe, I'm going off. Because what you're not gonna do is call me a hoe. What you're not gonna do is say that I've been sleeping around. That's not what you gonna do. It's just not gonna happen. So he basically turned his back on her, and she, I guess my grandmother looked down on her, um, but she spoke to me a bit more about her grandmother, my great grandmother, who she basically like called her a whore. Like, she was just like, you out here, like, you a whore. Like, she just called her a whore, according to what my mom told me, which was really disappointing, because you guys know how people are for the most part around newborns. Like, it's like you talk so much trash to the mother, and then when she finally gives birth, you want to be all over the baby. And this is why I'm so particular. Like I'm such a particular person about how I want to live my life. And I'm so eager to learn about energy because to tell you the honest truth, if I was my mom, nobody gonna see the baby because that's the energy that you have towards me. I'm done with you. I'm completely done with you. Um, and so she was scared, she was sad, and she decided that she was going to put me up for adoption. And I think she told the church, even though the church did excommunicate her for a lack of better word, kicked her out for a lack of better word, told her that she can't worship with them for a lack of better word. Like I don't know what to use, right? Because they get so offended when you say certain things. Um, the thing is that she did not go to church from what I understand. I don't think she was the one who told me. I think wait, was she the one who told me? I'm not sure who it was. That it was either her or the eldest who told me that she didn't go to church for about a year. Um, and that's her ex-husband right there, y'all. I was about to say something. Anyways, look at her. She's so funny. Mm-mm-mm. So she asked a couple who was married in the church if they wanted to adopt me, and they agreed that they would after speaking about it because they only had a daughter at the time who was the same, I believe, the same age as the eldest, my eldest brother. And it was a yes. And I don't know what happened. I'm not even sure if she knew what happened, but they decided last minute that they weren't comfortable with doing it. I guess, because they all go to church together. And even though I don't think questions will be had just because they were to a certain extent an interracial couple. The woman was dark skinned and the man was light skinned, and so it would make sense for her to choose them to be my parents. But they decided last minute that they wouldn't do it, and so she just took care of me to the best of her ability. And when it comes to everything, she did great. The only thing that she lacked in was the emotional part. The mental stability just lacked when it came to compassion, when it came to, I don't know how to really describe it, but the stories would tell. And my mom did amazing work for the time that she was in. And so I call her a pastry chef because technically that's what she is in New York terms. You're a pastry chef. You went to your grandmother's school and you got your certificate. And so that's what she did. So I'm very bougie, y'all, when it comes to pastries, child. I am very bougie. I'll be like, you put too much baking powder in that. Burning my mouth. I'm terrible. Um, so I grew up eating fresh baked goods, cookies, cakes, bread. Oh my gosh, it was the best when she used to do bread and bun and all of that. It was so good. It was so good. But no, honey, I don't foresee myself ever making bread. Um, but I will bake with my children because I think those are the best memories that I have with my mom. And so uh, just so sad, just so sad. Anyways, okay, focusing. Um, just to kind of touch, since I'm talking about her baking, I'm trying to go back and forth. I don't want to go in like order of things. I want to go back and forth from past to present, or her present. Um, my mom was diagnosed with celiac disease. I believe it was 2012, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it wasn't 2012. Maybe she got diagnosed when I was in high school, which, if that's true, dang, maybe it was 2007. So I graduated 2007. And I honestly don't remember. Oh, yes, she did start eating like gluten-free stuff back then, but it was so like celiac disease wasn't a thing back in 2006. I think she was diagnosed in 2006. That wasn't really a thing, so it was really, really difficult to find flour because she loved to bake, but she stopped baking even more than she already did when she moved up here because she just didn't we couldn't find anything. Like I remember buckwheat flour was like on the market, and buckwheat flour is gross. Okay. I remember finding this pizza store. So after she got diagnosed, and once I got my job, I started working in 2009, my first job. Mother's Day and her birthday were always occasions where I would take her to try a new gluten-free spot. And I remember this pizza place that I took her to in Brooklyn. They made their pizza crust with buckwheat. Oh, the grossest. Not the grossest thing, but the grossest. I really appreciate the how far we have come with the rice flours and the coconut flours and all of that. Like honestly, because buckwheat is only good in honey, y'all. That buckwheat honey is off the chain. But buckwheat flour is a no, it's a pass, it's a move away from me. Typically, if something has buckwheat and it doesn't taste bad, it's because they put a load of sugar in there, which takes me to when she got diagnosed, a lot of things that she was eating has a lot of sugar in it. Um, and so when I would say skip forward like to 2000 and maybe 2000, maybe that's what it is. 2012, maybe when we used to live on Flatbush. Um, that's when I started getting into like health and wellness. And I put her on, just started eating more vegetables, more fruits and stuff. Because that's how she would eat anyway. My mom loved oranges. Oh my gosh, my mom loved oranges, even from Panama. Like this woman was always cutting an orange. I don't know what the obsession was, but she will always cut an orange and she will always give me the top, which we will call tapita. Instead of cutting the orange in half, you cut it a little bit more on the top. And she would do that because I was a little girl. And so, I probably wouldn't finish the whole half. And so she would just give me the tapita and she would eat the rest. Oh, I'm about to cry again. These memories, bro. These memories, they're gonna kill me when I have my own children. Because obviously that's how I'm gonna do it, right? I'm obviously gonna also do that with my children. Oh my gosh. I can't. Okay. Um, so I'm so glad that I got like the bulk of my emotions, like the actual like she's gone emotions out of my system. Because let me tell y'all, if I didn't get that out of my system in March, I would be a mess right now. I'll probably just be quiet and let y'all look at the slideshow because man, oh man, absolutely ridiculous. So so yeah, that's actually what took her. I know a lot of people are like, oh, 2020, she died from COVID. No, she did not. I can't with COVID. I'm not even gonna go there. So she passed away from um I don't want to call it complications. It wasn't complications. It was just what being diagnosed with celiac is, which is interesting because it's like her name was Celia. Now which celiac is basically Celia with a C at the end. It was just weird. And then you a pastry chef, and then you can't eat the thing that you made a living up. Like it was just the irony of it all was just so ridiculous. And it's when like we didn't even she had it apparently it was the thing like we realized like oh my gosh you had this sensitivity to gluten your entire life because my mom was always sick. She always had issues with her health on a minor level, not super severe, but she always had issues. And now we understand that oh it's because she was eating all this flour and her system just couldn't deal with it. um so by the time that she got diagnosed, she her what do you call that, her immune system was almost shot, and so we really had to do deep recovery. I'm so glad that the father was able to put me into a place of health and wellness so that I could start doing smoothies, and we would start doing smoothies. And I started getting into essential oils. Guys, please get into those essential oils. I'm telling you. And so those essential oils really, really turn things around. But also the smoothies, like just having that bulk. And people say, oh, you put like, some people sometimes say, like, that's not the best because it is over the amount of fruit and vegetables that we may put in a smoothie might be over the daily amount that quote unquote, okay, I'm doing quotations right now. The and that may be true if we were eating a lot of fruit and vegetables already. So like in Panama, if you was to do a smoothie, it would probably be best to do like once a month or something because we eat a lot of fruit and vegetables in Panama. But here in this country, drink your smoothie, y'all. Because that's the only way y'all getting with all the food, the type of foods that y'all eat out here in these streets. I'm gonna include myself because look, I'm gonna include myself. Do yourself a favor and get your smoothie on. Okay. You guys are not consuming enough fruits and vegetables. And the fact that we are consuming a lot of things that are that cause inflammation in our bodies, like dairy, like flour, just because you don't have the disease or sensitivity does not mean that the flour is not affecting your insides. And that's something that I had to learn because I have a sensitivity to it all of a sudden because we're using these bleach products. Why are we bleaching our products? Why can't we just grow rice and eat rice the way it is? Why is it more appetizing to us when it's bleached? You know what I mean? Like it just makes no sense. Like this whole white thing that people have going goes beyond just skin color. It really does. We are literally obsessed with white. Okay? We are literally obsessed with extracting color from things. And the only thing that it's doing is killing you because we know that the darker the leafy green is, the better it is for you. The lighter it is, the worse. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to start no trouble, but I'm just saying. So the fact that you guys are taking that brown color from rice, what are you doing to yourself? The fact that you're taking that brown color from the flour, what are you doing to yourself? You're extracting the nutrients. That color is nutrients. No color, no nutrients. Color, nutrients. It's that simple. Anyhow, I had to go into that because we're not taught this in America, in North America. I always want to make the distinction, because another thing that we're not taught is the fact that we have the continent of North America, the continent of South America, and the continent of Central America. Panamanians are Central Americans. So I am also American. And I used to get offended. I'm not gonna lie. I used to be like, I'm not American. And it's like, we're all Americans. It only depends on which continent you're from. But you see, when you go to this, when you are in North America, and this is something that happens in North America, because the things that my mom used to see me studying, or whatever it is, whatever homework it is that I would be doing, she would be scratching her head like, that's what y'all learning? Or she would be like, wait, they didn't teach you. Like, the biggest thing is when she found out that we are not taught geography, I was like, no. She was like, what? Like, it is only in North America that they don't teach you geography. Now, don't come for me if your school taught you geography. I find that the people who were taught geography were taught geography from teachers who understand the importance of being taught geography, not because it was in the curriculum. So don't even start. Don't even start, because that was the same thing when I went to beauty school. The things that I learned about my coils, I only learned because my teacher was a Black woman from the South. And I'm so thankful, because when we asked her, well, let me speak about me. When I asked her information about, I can't even remember, but like I was asking her something and she was like, no, that's not part of the curriculum. The things that I'm teaching y'all is the things that I've learned from being a licensed professional for the past 25 years plus, you know? So I am so thankful that I had her as a teacher, because if not, I would have learned about European hair just like everyone else who goes to beauty school. That's all you learn about. And you have like a quick 2 seconds where you learn about Destiny, which that's the name of our I don't want to, the doll with the curly hair. That's her name, I believe. Um, and we hardly even touch her. We hardly even touch her. We always are touching the dolls with the straight hair. What a world. Anyways, okay. So the irony of my mom being diagnosed with celiac disease broke down her immune system. We were able to build it back up to a certain strength. Um, and she lived with that diagnosis from 2006 to 2020. That's a very long time. And even just the fact that she had it her entire life, 67 years, is a long time to live with something that was literally killing you and was literally continuing, even after it was kind of under control, it was still sucking life from you. So, what ended up happening, if I may jump forward a bit or a lot, um, her immune system was finally tapped, because she got sick plenty of times. And I remember when she had pneumonia around my eldest brother's wedding, um, she had caught pneumonia. And it was, for many, many reasons that no one could change now. Um, and the doctor, it was her second time, I believe, that she had got it. And her doctor was like, man, no, like whatever it is, whatever scans or tests that they gave her, he was able to confidently come to us and say, she's strong, her body is fighting. And it was just good to hear, because that's not at all what we were hearing this time around. And that even how she would communicate with me was different this time around. It was a pneumonia that she had got, but I'm like, she was just tired, and I knew she was tired. Um, and the worst thing that you could do when a family member is sick is put guilt on their spirit. They already have so much weight from knowing, because when you know, you know. I can't explain it because I've never been on a near death situation. Like, I've never been in that predicament. But when you talk to people, when you even movies, because you're not going to just write a movie without doing um, research on it. They do a significant amount of research, I believe, when they try to make a good movie. And so the depictions that you see in certain movies um, is real. Like, the person knows this is why they tell you it's good, because my mom told us. She told us it's gonna happen. However, the way she communicated that with us was how do I describe it? It was a bit more like, if y'all don't come take me out of this hospital, I'm gonna die right here because y'all playing with me. Y'all know I don't want to die here. Take me out. I want to leave. Like, that's pretty much what happened. And it freaked my brother out, my older brother out. So he went to he went to go pick her up, and then the hospital was giving her a hard time. I don't want to get into that. Um, I don't want to get into that, but um, she that's how she communicated with us. And at this point, she knew that it was going to happen. And I knew it was going to happen without her saying it. I knew it was going to happen before she traveled out to California to visit my brother. Um, both of them, actually. Um, she she already had lost so much weight. She lost a lot of body mass in no time. The best advice that I always give people is, if your parents are retiring, please talk to them. Tell them to find a hobby. If Don't have them sitting around just watching TV, so quote unquote enjoying life, relaxing. Don't do that. You have to keep them moving. They have to keep moving. Because once they stop using their bodies and their brain is going to shut down, just like your favorite. I don't know if you guys ever experienced using your favorite electronic device, and you use it, 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 use it. And then you get a new thing and you put it to the side for maybe 6 months to a year, and then you go back to it and you're trying to turn it on, and that sucker would not come back on. It would not come back on at all. That's the same thing that happens to our bodies. There's no difference. I keep telling y'all, everything is connected. Everything on this earth is connected. Even if it was made through the hands of man, we don't know anything outside of what we already know. It's already connected. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, either you understand or you don't. So I did those twists on her hair, y'all. It came out really cute. The second time I did it, I don't know, wasn't feeling it that much. All these pictures, if it looks blurry, is because she took them. If it looks like she looks annoyed, it's because either I took it or one of my brothers took it. It was really, we used to just take random pictures of her because she hated it. It was really, really funny. Um, I always used to take pictures of her sleeping, which is why when she took her last breath, I was still kind of in unbelief. That was the day that was the dress that she's wearing. Like, we were headed to my eldest brother's wedding, and that's my older brother, not the eldest, my older. Um, You see why I say middle child? Because it's like just weird. But anyways, that's the older, and then y'all seen the eldest already. So this is like what's that jail in Cali? Calvaraz Architect called wait, what is it called? I don't know what it's called. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's her and her sister. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me focus. I told y'all this won't be long because it's my mom. Yeah, I really thought, come on now. It's my mom. It's just too many memories. Too many memories. So that's that lady that y'all see, the light skinned lady, that's my brother's grandmother who um man, so thankful to her and her mother. They just look at her and her brother. Don't they look alike? all my all my uncles and my aunt, they all just look alike. So crazy. Um, but yeah, she took me in. Their grandmother, like they're like my adoptive grandparents. She was just amazing. Like she was a fireball. She was a Leo. Complete fireball, but like so loving. And I'm appreciative that she was in my life because she was the grandmother that I literally never had. And I know this is like, it may sound hurtful to some people, but the truth of the matter is the things that my grandmother did, um, the little that she did, and I'm going to be very intentional and precise with my words, the little that she did was not enough. It almost equated to zero. I don't care if you sent clothes. I don't care if you sent food. Children do not care about that. Children care about time. The thing that's most important. The thing that's most important is the thing that we come in here on this earth with, which is time. And that's the only thing that children care about. They care about you spending time with them, playing with them, listening to them, doing all the little foolish things. Like we come on this earth and our love language is quality time. And then as we get older, then selfishness comes in. Then, ego comes in and all kinds of things. Because, I mean, let's be real, like, let's break down love language. And sure, we're not going to stay children forever. So I get it. But let's break down love language. Okay? Quality time, that's pure, unadulterated. Like, there's nothing you can say about that. Right? But then acts of service, ego, because that's my first thing now. My first language used to be quality time, and now it's second. And now my first is acts of service. Then what do you have after that? Words of affirmation, insecurity. Let's be real. Can we keep it real? Insecurity. Gifts, selfishness. It could be a type of insecurity as well. It could be um, you know, it could be described as a lot of things. I can't remember the other one. I think there's another one. Um, or maybe not. But the only pure one is time. All the other ones come, we start to bring them on out of the things that we learned out of life, the things we learned from family, this is not that type of video. I'm sorry, y'all. But like, this has to come out because part of my mom's negativity, because I've told y'all that she was a very negative person, and she was. Um, but part of the reason I'm so passionate about these things is because of who she was. I saw myself going down. Is that, oh, I missed it. I saw myself going down that trail, and I knew like, nah, this is not normal. Like I need to fix this, right? And so I did. I did, and I'm still doing it to the best of my ability because I want to live a happy, peaceful life. I don't want to be tied down by, generational oppression. Like I'm trying to really I'm trying to really make the best out of this life, you know? So, okay, fine. I'm chatting too much. Get back to my mother. So, look at us. Like, my mom was my best friend. She was absolutely my best friend. I remember one time I was telling her a story. I think I was in high school, and I was telling her something, and she looked at me. Maybe I was in middle school. Nah, I think I was in high school. She looked at me and was like, if I was in school with you, I would not be friends with you. Like, I would not. And I turned around and I looked at her and I laughed and I said, I'm glad you said that because I would not be your friend either. Like, we did not like um each other on a certain level, but it was just comical to me that we were able to like say, I don't like this part of you, and you lucky that we blood. Like for real. Like you lucky we blood. Because if we weren't blood, ooh, I would hate you. Like you just the worst person on this earth. And we would joke around with stuff like that all the time. Like when I got older, our thing was like whenever we tried to help each other with something and whomever at the time was not being receptive to it, we would say, you can't help Black people, or this is why you can't help Black people, or like, ooh, you can't help Black people these days. Like that would be our thing. Um, Obviously, I would never have a relationship like that ever again. As close as I am with certain people, I would say even my siblings, well, the eldest brother, as close as I may have been with him, I could tell that even with him, I can't make certain jokes because he's sensitive, but he's sensitive because of the traumas that he refuses to let go. Anyways, leave that at that. Um, so yes, y'all, I think the last thing I said before I went into my rant was that well, I was talking about my mom's diagnosis, and basically that's what took her out. She had gotten an infection in her lungs, a virus. I think was it a virus? I think it was a virus in her lungs or something like that. It was according to the doctor, it's something that is common in the air, like we all breathe it in or touch it or whatever. And it's super easy to handle with the medicine that they give you. But because her body was already like, she's an older woman, it just wasn't working. It wasn't working. The medicine he put her on had her coughing up blood, and it would freak me out. Like the first time it happened, she was freaked out and she stopped using it. And then she figured, well, but what else should I do? Like I have to keep using it. And she started using it again. Around the time that she started using it again, I actually already had started with, or maybe a little after, I started using my essential oils. And so the second time she did it, and I saw it with my own eyes, I was like, no. Like you could imagine how traumatizing that is for the individual or anyone who's around them, seeing your loved one cough up blood. You know what I mean? Like that's a no. And so y'all know me and my oregano, honey. So it was oregano, it was tea tree, and any other oils that I knew would slow it down. It will slow it down because the Lord is going to take you either way, right? So it definitely slowed it down. Um, she wasn't in any pain that I knew about, um, or anything like that. Like I would know when my mom is in serious pain because she would get very emotional. Um, so she wasn't in any pain. She was still able to walk and do for herself and everything like that. But when she went to Cali, it really went downhill. And I don't know. Um, I try not to. I try to change my perspective when it comes to the end of her days. I really try to change my perspective because if I don't, I'm going to be upset for the rest of my life. And I don't have time for that, you know? I don't. So I really try to change my perspective. But right now, I still have the same perspective. So I'm not even going to talk about it. Um, Anyways, but before that, I was telling y'all about the adoptive that she was trying to give me away to the family and church, which the one I believe. Anyways, let me not talk about that because I don't know how true that was. Anyways, um, so yeah, so they said no. She decided to take care of her child, and she did. I'm not really sure how active Jose was in my life. My brothers would say that he would come around. Um, he would come around sometimes or whatever. I remember seeing him only one time in my entire life. So maybe he was coming around when my when I couldn't, the memories that you don't remember when you're like 1 and 2 years old. Like I remember stuff from vaguely from 3, and I don't even know that I'm 3. You like if I tell the story, my brothers will have to say like, "Oh, you were 3 around that time." Like that's interesting that you remember that. But it will always be like towards the ending when I was about to be 4. So I remember very good 4 and 5 and on, but 3 is like hit or miss. So he was probably coming around before that. And the time that I do remember him, I was probably like maybe 3, maybe 4. I remember he came to take care of me and my cousin who used to live with us at the time. And that's about it, honey. He looked like Danny DeVito, short. I mean, not as short as him. Well, I don't know because I was short. Obviously, I was a little girl, so I was obviously short too. Um, but I'm going to assume that he wasn't as short as Danny DeVito. But I say Danny DeVito because he had that Jefferson haircut. You know what I'm saying? That the hair on the side, no hair on top. I do remember that part. So I remember like as a teenager thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I hope I don't pass this on to my sons or son. I hope like I'm so particular because I know that men don't like that. Even though some ball men be out here being a whole snack, but um I um I really hope I don't pass that on to my kids. And if I do, I hope that my son looks really great with a bald head. um so yes. So okay, let's kind of talk about the toxic behaviors. One just popped up real quickly, but I don't know if I want to jump into that so quickly. I think I do because I think I have to. Um, so move forward. This is where my when we moved to New York is when things started to get really bad between my mom and I. Um, Moved here when I was just 2 months shy of 9. Um, And I told you guys already, coming to New York and going to school here, the children here are Tasmanian devils. Like, they're really the spawn of Satan. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Parents do not, it is hard to find a decent child in New York, in the New York school system. It is hard to, and when you do, I remember this janitor one time, it was way after school, and I'm not really sure what I was doing. It was middle school. I don't remember what I was doing, but I was still in the school and I needed to use the restroom so bad. And I went to the janitor. I was so happy to see him. And I was like, "Hi, sir, I'm so sorry, but can you please open the restroom for me? I really need to use it." And he looked at me like he just, he was just stunned. And I'm looking at him like, "Oh my gosh, he's not going to open the bathroom. I'm going to pee on myself." And he was like, "You are the first child that I've ever encountered." Meanwhile, I need to use the bathroom, and he takes this time to glorify my mom's parenting skills. He was just like, "I can't believe you, like, the fact that you have manners, because the kids in this school don't have no manners. They would have just come to me and told me to open the door, and I would have told them no." And I'm just like, "Oh, I don't know what I told him." I was just like, I guess I was dancing or something. I'm like, "Sir, I really need to use the bathroom." And so then he like walks up to the door and opens it for me. But I say that to say that this happens often, because even now as an adult, I do it. When I find a child who is like respectful, honey, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, look at God over here working." Like, I love a respectful child. I love a respectful person, period, right? But you more so expect disrespectfulness from an adult because they're an adult and they're dealing with you, and people get upset, and so that's natural. But when you see that from a child, it's really like, uh-uh, who do you think you are? You and I, as the old folks would say, you and I are not in age. Okay, so you better watch out before I knock you out. Like, it's just that simple. I don't even be talking to kids. I don't be talking to kids because I'm not trying to go to jail. I'm really not. Um, but yeah, coming over here was a culture shock for sure, for sure. And once, so let me break it down this way because it will be easier for me to remember. In elementary school, um, I got to see who my grandmother, I don't want to say really was, but a better sight, a better view of the other parts of who she is. Let me not say was, she's still alive, I think. I got to see the other sides of her, and I did not like it. And I got to meet the rest of my family, and I did not like them. I have a cousin who, I'm not gonna give too much detail, but this person, um, just nasty, just absolutely nasty, and was easy to, it was easy for them to pick on me, because it's always easier to target a child, right? It is always easier to target a child. And so with them and just with other family members, like, you started seeing things. And my mom wasn't necessarily like, in Panama she was, but in Panama she was able to be discreet because the people that she was talking with also had children, so it was easy for them to just say, "Go play or whatever," and we'll be more than happy to disappear. um but up here, people don't really go outside the way they do in Panama. And so you could hear everything that's going on, and I would hear all the conversations. And um I just, this family and majority of the when I say family, so all of the family is basically from my grandmother's side of the tree, because my great grandmother had my grandfather, and she was like, that pain is for the birds, and so the birds can have it. And she never had another child. It was only my grandfather. And so I don't know the Nightingale side of the family. I do, however, know the Phillips side of the family, which is my grandmother's side. Um, did I go? Let me touch on that a little bit because it may be of importance. I don't know. Actually, it's not. So I'm not gonna do it. So all of the family, all of the unfortunate family that I'm always talking about, it's from her side. Um, and I just knew in elementary, like a part of me already knew, like, I'm not going to. This is not going to work out long term. Like I didn't. I mean, I was in elementary school, so I didn't. I just knew no. Like I just knew no. That's all, right? And the worst developed as I got older. Then in middle school, that she about to be a teenager, and puberty is coming. Puberty. What did you guys just hear? I said puberty. It just sounded a little weird. The hormones are going, the period is coming, and it knocks on your door. And so, the energy changed, but it didn't like it just changed. I don't know if it's normal. I know that it's normal for it to change, but I don't know if it's normal for it to change in the extent that it did. So now you have two people under a roof having periods, and I don't know, like I can't necessarily remember like, oh, we both were on a period that day, and that's why we were being mean or whatever. Um, all I know is that the energy changed drastically, and she just would say things to me, not all the time. Oh God, I feel like I'm painting a terrible picture. Um, we would have a lot of fun, but we would just have occasions of like toxicity. I wasn't saying necessarily anything toxic to her, but the things that would sometimes come out of her mouth would be really hurtful. Case in point, when I was I believe I was in the sixth grade, maybe seventh. Actually, was I in class with her? I remember times and occasions according to who I used to talk at the time, who I was friends with. Oh wait, yeah, she did. She was in the seventh grade with me, but no, I remember specifically. It was. I mean, she was in the sixth grade with me. Anyway, that doesn't matter. That's self-talk. Sorry. Okay, this happened in the seventh grade where we were just talking or whatever. Um, as we did plenty of times. My mom and I talked to the bird sings, honey. Um, and she was saying, we was talking about the family, and she said to me, I can't remember the fullness of the conversation. Obviously, I only remember the thing that struck me the most, which was, oh, you were a mistake. You would think that I would remember what we were talking about. But honestly, the rest of the conversation wasn't like offensive. It was just a regular conversation. I but then here she goes. I think she was talking about somebody who was pregnant with someone. I think a family member who was pregnant. I don't know. I think it was that. And she says, you was a mistake. And honey, even though it was a regular old conversation, it wasn't like we were in an argument or anything like that. That joint hit me like a boulder on my head. Like it was like an explosion. Like it just like somebody just punched me in my lung. Like it just took me out. Like I was so upset that she told me that, because now the narrative that I'm telling myself is, oh, that's why you never said nothing when my brothers would make fun of me, because you never really wanted me. At this point, I already know that she was gonna give me up for adoption and stuff. Like, she would tell me all these things and I would never take offense to it. I was just always fascinated by her stories. I don't know why. I don't know why I never took offense to it. I think some people will be like, you never took offense to that? No, I didn't. Like, I just really didn't. And I think maybe I didn't because I liked the family. Like, I grew up in the church. She was my Sunday school teacher. Like, we were close. So for me, it would be like, oh, okay, cool. Um, but yeah, it was, but now things are changing a little bit. And she tells me that, and I'm just like upset. And I think she sees how my face changes. And I was like, I was a mistake. Oh, okay. So I was a mistake. And so she's like, oh, I'm not gonna say names, but she's like, oh, so and so was a mistake too. And I was like, you are not gonna do that. I'm not gonna allow you to sit here and talk about so and so was a mistake just because you just said that about me. You don't know if she was a mistake. Just say what you have to say, and leave it at that. But don't try to bring other people now because you like feel bad. You could see that I'm upset or whatever. I didn't say all of that because I'm upset, but like that's basically what I meant. And that was it. Conversation shut the heck down. Down. I was done. And that crippled me like all the way through high school. And she never apologized for it. My mom never apologized for anything that she did, which is why I would constantly, in my adulthood, bring things to her because you need to know what you did. I'm not going to keep this in my spirit. Nope. I'm going to reverse, I'm going to Uno reverse this on you, period. Like, you going to know what it is that you said. If you don't remember, oh, you don't remember saying that? Well, I'm reminding you. This is what you said, and this is how it made me feel, period. I would never ask her for an apology. It was only one time that I ever asked my mom for an apology. And that's when she was going in on one of my boyfriends. Um, she was going hard. This is my boyfriend from high school. And she was like just going in. At least that's how it felt. It felt like she was going in. And I was like, you need to apologize. Child, I don't even remember what she was going on for. She was just, everybody felt this way about him though. Like it wasn't new. Um, and I know like she really liked my boyfriend from middle school. Um, but that's only because he was this big dude. Like he was this big dude, and it just really, I don't know. I don't want to get into that. Y'all could tune into this next season. But she really liked him. And so when I broke up with him, she felt a way about it. I remember her coming to me telling me, like, Homa, um, that's not okay for you to do this, and the third. And I was like, excuse you? Like, my mom would always defend my boyfriends except for this one person. She will always be like, oh my goodness. Like, she had a big issue with the way I handled my relations, whether it was with boys or with friends. She will always just be like, oh man. And part of her telling me that she would never be my friend, I think a little bit of that was because at this point she has seen how I handle. One moment I'm friends with you, the next minute I'm not friends with you. One moment I'm in a relationship with you, the next minute I'm just like, I'm done with you, done. But I wasn't like breaking up with people. In the relationship that I was in, that would be make up, break up, was always like the boy that will break up with me. But when I finally broke up, like when I was the one breaking up, I meant it. Like, I'm not gonna break up with you if I don't mean it. Like, I'm upset with you in this moment. Okay, cool. But like, I still have feelings for you. So I'm gonna write this out. Just, I'm gonna breathe. And when I feel better, I'm gonna come back and we gonna be all good. So when I broke up with men or boys, when I broke up with boys, it was always, that's done. We're done. And so my middle school dude, um, she would just, oh, how can you do this? This is not good. Da-da-da-do, ba-da-da-da. And I'm just like, honey, if you only knew, and I told her, I didn't say honey, but I was like, Ma, if you only knew how he was treating me or the things that he would do and whatnot, you would not be speaking like this. Okay. So please just kindly stop talking to me about him because I don't care. Okay. Let him cry his river over there. Do not answer the phone. If he calls, I don't want to talk to him. I'm not like, I really have to do this. Let me just move forward again to when my last serious relationship with the dude that I was engaged with, it was like even worse. I'm like, why are you still talking to him? Why are you guys still communicating? Oh, La Homa, da da da. La Homa, nothing, girl. I'd probably call her girl this time around, though. I'm like, why does he get to be attached to you? Meanwhile, I have to suffer through, because everybody has to, go through their natural emotional thing after breakups, but his is being pacified because he still gets to talk to the mother. Absolutely not. And y'all know that I went through my mom's phone one time because I was the one who always put everything together for her, switch over information when she got a new phone and whatnot. And I'm going through her phone and I see that she has his number. Um, After I told her not to do it, she then goes into her phone and renames him. But when I go into WhatsApp, I'm telling y'all right now, if y'all want to find out who is who, go to WhatsApp. So I go to WhatsApp and I see his picture next to this name. And I was like, oh, you know what? I deleted it. And I don't know if I wrote him. I don't remember writing him, but I do remember telling her about herself because enough is enough. I don't know why every time I have to be talking to you, telling you to stop talking to people, you already understand that the rule is once I'm done, you're done. You know what I mean? Once I'm done, you're done. Child, she tried it plenty of times. But this one time, my high school dude, she did not feel this dude at all, which is funny because this was the one dude who, oh my God, like, I don't want to say he was a breath of fresh air because sometimes he wasn't. But for the most part, where I was mentally, he was just that safe place that I could just go to. He would just listen to me. And, you know, even though we had our, we had our, like him and I really did break up and make up a lot. I ain't gonna hold you. Him and I broke up so many times and got back together so many times. Just we were together for 3 years doing that. Um, and she just did not approve. But the part that ticked me off was because she wasn't approving because of the cover of the book, not because she actually um, knew him, which was the same thing with the others. It's like you're just judging them and thinking that they're amazing because of the cover of the book. Stop it. Stop it. Okay? I'm telling you that is not good. Trust me when I'm telling you this. With my ex fiance, it was like, oh, La Homa, like, I, who are you? Like, like I think is a natural parent thing to want your daughters to be good before you leave the earth and whatnot. And so for her, it was like, when are you going to get the other, like, who else is going to ask you to marry them, right? Which low key is disrespectful, but also it's almost, she knew that she's old, she's an elderly woman and she wants everything to be good before she leaves, and I get that. So it wasn't necessarily disrespect on a level of like, who else you gonna find to marry you, because honey, I'm amazing, period. But it was more so like, he's a really amazing guy, like, what else do you want? And I understood that because he was a good guy. However, good is not enough. I keep saying that. Just because you have one quality, that's not good enough. I want to be, and I'm being very specific with what I'm saying, because what I'm saying has to do with the relationship that I was having with this man. I don't want you to just be a good guy. I don't want you to just be a guy who quote unquote loves me. I don't, I want to be able to come into my house because I was, okay, my mom, 53. Um, um, she was born in 53, so she's a baby boomer. Her views on life are a lot different from my millennial views. You know what I mean? Now, my views are not super modern. They're a mix. I think I'm more old school, more conservative than a younger millennial, the 90s babies. Um, but because I grew up in Panama, I think that my views are still very much like the woman takes care of the house. Now, that's a general statement. I think I still want to play on my husband's strengths. And so if there's something if he cleans the bathroom better, clean the bathroom. If you wash dishes better, or if you enjoy washing dishes, oh, please, by all means, wash the dishes. Because I don't like washing dishes, but I also don't like seeing a dirty sink. So guess what? I'm going to wash the dishes. You know what I mean? But, whatever it is that you could do better, do it. But the general maintenance of the house and turning the house into a home type of thing, I want to do that because I find joy in doing that. And so I'm not going to be with a man who's like, I'm going to do all that. Like, oh, I actually want this to look that way, or I actually want that to look that way. So what am I doing? You want the linen closet to hold your shoes. Okay, so where we going to put the linen? You want the second bedroom to be your entire walk-in closet. Okay, so where are we gonna put people who visit? And it was just those little stupid things that I was just like, what is happening right now? And I couldn't really understand it then, but now I understand that I told you guys this already. Men who want to get married, you have to ask the question, why do you want to get married? And you have to listen to the words that they say. Because a lot of these men only want a human being, woman, to give birth to their child and to cook for them and to please them when they need to be pleased. And that's it. They are not thinking about still um still having like date nights, still being cuddly with you, still listening to you when you're having, a bad day, taking care of you when you're sick. They're not thinking about that, boo boo. So I suggest that you take your time and get to know the man that you're dealing with. Anyways, leaving that at that, because she really triggered me with that. I don't know. I really had to take his number. And I think, honestly, I'm not going to hold y'all. I honestly think that he was still keeping up with her because when I was talking, at this point, she was still alive, but it was 2020. I was talking with the eldest, and I'm just like venting or whatever. Or maybe I wasn't, maybe she already had passed actually. The thing is that I was talking to him and he was telling me, like, oh, but didn't he move to Florida? And I was like, excuse me, how do you know that? And he was like, what mom told me. And I was like, excuse me, what are you talking about? Like, I'm really shocked. It really shook me that he knew this, because I'm like, I mean, I don't know if he moved to Florida, but I knew that he really wants to. For some reason, I always dated guys who wanted to move to Florida. And I was like, I how, like, I was just, he was like, oh, she told me. I'm like, excuse me. So I really think that even though his name was in there, I told her about it, then she changed his name so I wouldn't know, but then I found him on WhatsApp, and so I deleted his number. And when she found that I deleted his number, because obviously you're still trying to keep in contact with him, um she knew about it, and she stepped to me and she was like, why did you delete his number? I was like, because I already told you that I don't want you talking to him. The period. Done. I don't care if we all adults. Stop. I don't like it. So I think that either she put his name in there and put like a had him change his, I don't know what, or either she didn't, but she wrote his number somewhere and they would still contact each other on the low without me knowing, and then delete the conversation. I honestly think that was, like, honestly, because I don't know when he moved, but I'm giving y'all too much because this is information that y'all gonna hear again next season. But that's how my mother used to do me in relationships, except for the one. And I'm just like, man, this woman is something else. So I was finally, um, I used to tell people a lot about when she told me I was a mistake. And I think I finally healed through that in my 20s. Not can't even remember how, but I remember that I did. Now, staying in middle school, this was when I stumbled upon meditation just organically, because things were getting so bad. Oh no, this is not middle school. I'm lying. This is high school. It's high school, and I'm just like, this is too much. Like, I cannot deal with this anymore. Like, I'm constantly praying for death. Every single week, I'm praying, God, please kill me. God, please, when I go to bed, don't have me wake up. Please, let a bus hit me. Let a car hit me. Let a bullet ricochet and hit me. Like, I told y'all this already. Like, it was just terrible, 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 terrible. And so I needed to understand why this was happening between my mom and I. Why is it that we cannot have a better relationship? And one week, I just stayed in my room. I used to really, really enjoy listening to music. I don't think I'm on that level like I used to be anymore. I still listen to music, but it's different now. And I would just listen, like, I would love to listen to classical music. It just brought me a lot of peace. And that is the New Year's dinner when I first moved into this apartment, y'all. I love this apartment. I'm gonna miss it when I leave. Um, so I asked the Lord, I was like, Lord, I need you to help me. Please show me why it is that, you know, we have this type of relationship. Like, why is she this way? Like, and I just remember asking the question just over and over and over. And it felt like a short time, but I honestly think it was about 3 days when I finally got the vision, or the understanding, the knowledge. And it basically what he poured into me is all the stories that my mom shared with me, with the commentary of, I can't describe it. Like, I don't know how people are able to describe their conversations with the Lord. It's really difficult because, like I've said before, it's not your typical I talk, you talk type of thing. I don't hear it. Like, I didn't hear him, but follow along. It was basically like, remember all those stories that she would tell you? And the stories came to my mind, and I'm like, together with all the stories playing, I got my emotions. Um, he was pouring into my emotions, the how she felt about those situations, while also giving me the understanding that she is not a superhero. She was a child just like you were a child. She lives life just like you're living life. She has gone through all the ages that you've been through. She's been through and lived through all those ages as well. You guys are the same in the sense that you're both human and had to be born and have to die. Like, that's basically what God was taking me through. Like, stop looking at her as if she's supposed to be perfect, because she's not. She's your mother, but she's also human. And I remember opening my eyes, and the weight, I felt so much lighter just understanding. And in that moment, a little, some peace entered my life because I was able to take her down from that pedestal that we all put our parents on, and was able to deal with her a little bit more with a little bit more compassion, a little bit more patience, and be more communicative with her, and say, like, maybe if she offends me in the moment, I was able to stop and say, that thing really hurts me because whatever, or it really sucks that you feel that way, or whatever. And we will really have these, she allowed me to have these open moments with her. They weren't perfect. They weren't they were actually filled, even though I'm making it sound good, it was actually filled with a lot of attitude. um and when it would play out in public, a lot of church people would be stunned at the way I would talk to her. Even some of my friends would be like, "Who are you talking to?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm talking to my mom." They're like, "You talk to your mom like that?" And I'm like, "Talk to my mom like that?" You would think that I was swearing at my mom or whatever. I wasn't. It was just the tone of my voice. And people felt like that's disrespectful. But my mom allowed me. And so I say that that was all God. Like, he didn't open her ears to the way people were seeing it, or open her eyes to the way people were seeing it. He allowed it. He allowed her to see it for what it is, which is, this girl is just maybe disappointed, maybe venting, maybe, whatever. And so, yes, um, to some people, they saw it as disrespect, which I would never curse at my mom, or like, that's not how we grew up. Like, we didn't grow up in a house where people were cursing or doing drugs, like smoking, drinking. My mom don't drink. My mom never smoked. Like, my mom, okay. Oh, perfect. You see this picture right here? So perfect. That day, I had taken her to a wine tasting. And when I tell you, she was so tipsy. She wasn't drunk. She was just tipsy. Just by sip, like, all she would do is sip a little bit. She never actually drank a whole glass of any of the wines that were given. And she was so done. That's why the picture that there's a picture that I use a lot. Is a picture that I have framed. Is the picture that you see as the cover of this video. Um, I use it so much because it was just like, it was a mixture of so many things. Oh, I'm about to cry again. Um, it was a mixture of like the best friends going out, but also mother and daughter going out. It was like it was like both worlds came together so beautifully. I don't know why I'm crying. We were both tipsy. It was so funny. Oh my God. But she got tipsy. I'm like, yo, she only had like a sip of uh two different wines and she was done. She was like, my head is spinning. And I was like, your head is spinning. You just wet your lip. What are you talking about? And she was like, like, oh, Mom, I'm not having no more. But then as I would taste, if something tasted really good, I'm like, Ma, you have to taste this. It's so good. It was just the funnest day. And I just used to love just finding things for us to do and convincing her to come with me. And I would love when she like, okay, fine, let's go. Like I used to drag her everywhere. Like I just don't even know how. Like I would get really upset at my mom at certain like so upset. I have two separate occasions where I stopped talking to her for a long time. Like not talk like stop talking like completely because we lived together my entire life. We lived together. Even when I got my own apartment, she came with me. Um so when I say that two separate, it would literally just be good morning, good night, excuse me, thank you, no, yes. Like it was literally that's it. We wasn't having no conversation beyond the necessary. And it was just, anyways, back to that amazing day. That was just so much fun. We would be on the train. Like people loved our relationship and also hated our relationship. Like in the church, there was this one specific woman who hated our relationship. I remember my mom coming to me one day telling me, and I'm like, Mom, I don't know why you be telling me this stuff, knowing that it's gonna tick me off. Okay. But she came to me one time was like, oh, so and so was like, oh, you don't pay attention in Bible class. Um, people are giving their class and you and your daughter there talking, laughing, kikiing, and I'm like, she jealous? Like people used to be so annoyed with our relationship. And I have one friend, one elderly friend who says to me all the time, like, she just loves, like she's jealous. She used to be jealous of the relationship. Not jealous like in a bad way, but like, you know how people express themselves. We don't really be having the words. Um, but she would admire. I think that's what she meant. She had really admired the relationship that I had with my mom because we were so close. Um, I was able to talk to her about a lot of things. I won't say anything because that's not true. Um, because my mom had her own ideas of like she used to say all the time, you guys are my kids. I could talk about y'all if I want. And I'm just like, bruh, I told you that thing in confidence, not for you to tell your little fake friends, you know? And but she will always do it. And so literally my siblings and I would stop telling her certain things because we're not telling you this for you to have something to share in your little sister class circle. No. And that made her really sad. She would always be like, oh, you guys don't talk to me. And I'm like, no, I talk to you. I just don't talk to you about the things that I don't want out here in these streets. Like, we don't tell you these things. Like, come on now, chill. But it took her a while, but eventually she learned. And so I was able to open the door to share a little bit more with her. Um, and anyway, what was I talking? Oh, I was talking about that day. So yeah, I that day was a day where the mother relationship and the friend relationship just came together. As you can see, I don't know if you guys saw the other picture, like this dress that she's wearing. I had the same dress because I used to love playing dress up with my mom. So that was another thing. My mom would never, um, that's her and her ex-husband and my two older brothers. My mom, so cute. My mom and she never liked to hold hands or like to play dress up. Like she wasn't that type of mother with her daughter. I was actually that. And I feel like the father made it that way because maybe she wanted to, but a lot of the darkness that she had in her, the negativity, um, the trauma. I want to let's say trauma. A lot of the trauma that she had kept her from doing those things. Because she lost her first daughter, she also was super overprotective over me. The boys would definitely live a lot more than me, were able to do a lot more than me. And when she had me, it's almost like a lot of those things came to a halt. Like she would travel a lot and she would send the boys out and do stuff. But then when I was born, like she wasn't sending me out to do nothing. Like whatever was done in Panama. So even though my siblings came to North America a lot, um, they went to Costa Rica. I never did none of those things. I don't know, but anyways, I could just imagine this because of the trauma of losing her first daughter. Um, so she was very overprotective of me for the most part. Um, for the most part, and to a certain extent, because my mom also, like when I think it was when I was 9 or 10 years old, my mom used to send me to go to the grocery store. Now, y'all, I'm gonna describe this, and I guess you won't understand it unless you live in New York. But she would send me to the grocery store that was, you know what? I think that distance would be like about, would that be a mile or a half a mile? I think it's a half a mile. I don't think that's a mile. She would send me to, would that be a half a mile? Like it would be, okay, it would be like 14 or 15 blocks away, maybe like 12 or 13 blocks away. Like that's a long trip for a 9 year old, 9 or 10 years. Like really think about that. Think about the fact that kids these days, I'm surprised at this because when I was young, it was common to kind of see kids doing their thing here in New York. But the older I got, the less you see kids um being latchkey kids. They're either being picked up by their parents or they're being picked up by school buses. Like you don't see independent children anymore. And so it was a big deal for me to be walking 13 blocks to go to a grocery store to do a whole grocery list. And it used to like freak me out because I'm just like, oh, I don't know what to buy. What if I don't have, what if she didn't give me enough? Like that was always the thing with me. What if she didn't give me enough money? Because how do you know that's how much it's going to cost? Like, come on now. And so it was a struggle. However, I it made me independent to a certain degree, right? So by the time I was a teenager, I already knew how to take the bus. Not too confident with the train, but definitely super confident with the bus. But now I be my friend Kahawi will be like, girl, you be zipping around, you be all over the place. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't know why people feel like you need a like, okay, sure, you need a car to go from, or you don't need it, but it will be better to use a car from like New York to Jersey or whatever. But honey, when I go to Newark, which I ain't going to no more, thank you, Jesus, um, I would take the train. I ain't taking no cab from Queens to Newark. Come on now. Yeah, I ain't rich. I am not rich. Um, So I started doing my laundry at like 11 years old because my mom, I was telling my client this yesterday, like my mom used to like putting bleach and stuff, and I used to hate that on occasion one of my pieces, my clothing would be bleached out. Like it used to drive me, okay? Like I hated it. And I was like, you know what? Since you're not gonna stop using, like I remember like I was so upset with her. Since you're not gonna stop using bleach, I'm gonna just do my own laundry. And at that point, um, she would do her own laundry, I would do my own laundry. But if she knew that I was gonna go to the laundromat on a day that she wasn't gonna go, but she needed something to be laundered, she would give it to me. She would give me her money to do it, and I would do it in a separate machine because to her, she wanted it done with the bleach. And I was like, okay, but I'm gonna put bleach in your stuff. So give me the extra money to, and it was just like that. Is that crazy? I need, no, for real. I hope this gets a lot of views low key because I want to hear y'all comments. Like for real, for real. Because I know that I'm thinking about it. I'm just like, if I have children and they were like, you know what I'm gonna do my own laundry. I think I'll be fine if they want to do their own laundry. But if they're like, give me extra money because you like to use bleach in your stuff, and I'm not gonna be using no bleach. I just wonder if I'm gonna be like ready to slap them. You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't know. My mom, we had a special relationship, okay? The good, the bad, the ugly, you know what I'm saying? All the in-betweens, like it just was what it was. And even though I thought that I will be able to move on, this week was a really rough week when it came to the clients that I was having. Um, they these clients was really driving me. Like my client yesterday, which actually I told her, I was like, I'm so happy that you are my client. Like you were the cherry on top of a awful week. So not the cherry in a bad way, but the cherry like in a good way. Like I'm so happy that there's actually a cherry on this disgusting Sunday. Because at least I will be able to eat the cherry and then throw out the rest. You know what I mean? Like that's what I meant. Like she just really was an amazing client. Um, we had amazing conversation. She's a great girl. And I was just like telling her a little bit about my mom as well. Um, just how our relationship was and the type of relationship, I don't know, just the way we were with each other, the type of relationship that we had with one another. And I just thank the Lord, like, sometimes you don't see things until you're outside of it. How he was able to bless the chaos that we had. Um, but yeah, this week was really hard because I remember coming to my door maybe in the middle of the week, like, man, these are the moments that I really miss my mom because I know that I will call my mom. Like if she wasn't home, I'll be able to call my mom and she will call me back immediately just to talk. And I'll be able to dive, like just let loose on everything that's been going on. And she would either listen to me and not say anything, or she would listen to me and tell me, yeah, you're right, or La Homa is not that serious. Um, and I just really miss her in these moments where I'm like stressed out because I just, in my heart, I just really don't feel like I would ever have another relationship like that. I really don't. If I do, then amazing. I'm happy. I'm great. Like that would be so great. But I don't think I will. I really don't. Anyways, so I don't know. I really thought, like, when I spoke to you guys last week, or 2 weeks ago, I really thought that I was gonna go in on her, but I also told you guys we'll see what the Holy Spirit allows me to speak about. And I'm glad because all the heaviness that was our relationship, I don't really think that I shared that much. I think I really, right now, I'm channeling, like, I think a good balance of the good and the bad. Um, for some of you, I don't know, maybe it may be difficult to understand how you even continue to speak or to have a good relationship with someone who says certain ooh, evil things to you. Um, my mom wasn't a supportive mother either. Like I tell people all the time, my mom never said she was proud of me, but one time, and that's when I got baptized. That's the only time that I've ever heard my mom say, "I'm proud of you." And she didn't even say, "I'm proud of you," because she was churchy. She was not gonna say, you know, the Bible tells you that pride is not good, and so she didn't say proud, but she said pleased. She said, "I'm pleased with you," but I knew what that meant. But my mom, let me tell y'all, when I was in elementary school, we were doing a Valentine Day project. Everybody was cutting their little construction paper and doing little cute things for their parents or whatever. And when my mom picked me up from school, I gave my mom, like, I remember, like, oh, I have something for you. And I gave it to her. My mom was also like super against, and I want to say her, because there were people in the church who celebrated all the holidays, but my mom specifically, she wasn't having us celebrate nothing. The way my mom would celebrate December was to put a fresh coat of paint on the walls and switch around the furniture and that's it. Clean up the house and whatnot. That's how my mom would celebrate December. We were not celebrating Christmas. We was not celebrate. Well, we never celebrated Thanksgiving because you don't celebrate things. We don't know nothing about Thanksgiving in Panama. We don't celebrate um, we don't celebrate none of that. The holidays that was celebrated by the country where there will be a marching band, she would have us go out there and whatnot, and we could watch the band, and that was fun. I really enjoyed that. But that's about it. Like others, she times where people were celebrating stuff and children would usually go out to celebrate it. Instead of letting us out, she would bake for us so that we didn't feel left out. And you know what? It worked because I didn't even know anything was being celebrated. I was just happy to have some cake. You know what I'm saying? I was happy to, because whenever she would like mix up the cake, she would always allow me to lick the spatula. And then one time I bit it and she was scarred. My mom was very serious about her utensils. Like, and so I bit it and she was beyond upset with me. She never gave me a spatula again. Even when I got older, and I was like, "Ma, stop it." That happened one time. So funny when I think about it. It happened one time. You need to just relax. It's not that serious. I'm not gonna bite the spatula. Like, what? Oh my goodness, I'm so old. And you still think I'm gonna bite the spatula. It's so funny. Anyways, oh my gosh. Nobody gonna watch this. But it's okay because this is therapy for me. This is truly therapy for me. Uh, it's almost like she's right here. I love it. I sleep in the room that she used to sleep in. It just felt right, right? Like, there's no way that I could continue. Like, I really did try to um stay in my room. And for a long time, I kept my room the way it was, and I would switch back and forth and whatnot. But I sleep in the room that she sleeps in now. Like, there's no way that I could just sleep in my room. I'm wearing one of her nightgowns because I needed that little bit of extra comfort this week. Um, and that's maybe why I'm not on video. Even though sometimes when y'all see me wearing that red poncho thing, it's because I'm wearing one of her nightgowns. I don't want nobody turning me like, even if y'all do, I won't mind. I mean, it will be funny, it'll be whatever, because I already know the toxicity that's in the world and how we like to make fun of other people instead of just recognizing the traumas that we need to heal from. So I'm cool with it. But still, I don't want to turn something that's innocent into something that's a joke, because I might be having a bad day and I see a meme of me wearing one of my mom's nightgowns and be like, oh, look at this old girl wearing one of her mother's batas. I could laugh, but I just don't know what mood I'm gonna be in. So I'd rather just not show it, and so I just will put on the poncho, even though the poncho be looking low key crazy too, right? But I'd rather the poncho than to be wearing something that could probably be made fun of and hurt me if I'm in my feelings, you know. Um, the fact that I could even fit into her stuff is wild, crazy to me. I still don't know, but the Lord, the Lord, I can't wait to meet Jesus in person. I can't wait to meet the Lord, the Father, Holy Spirit. I want to like I really look forward to that time. I remember my mom, like she used to talk to me about like anytime I would try to talk to her, like she would always bring up scripture. And I'm like, it used to annoy me. Oh my goodness, it used to annoy me. Like one time I remember telling her, like, every time I talk to you, you always bringing up the Bible. Like everything don't have to do with the Bible, da da da. And she didn't say anything. I mean, I don't remember her reacting in a, ill way or anything like that. But once I really started to get serious about the Father, like I literally became the same way. And anytime she would talk to me, anytime we would talk about each other, maybe she would be venting to me about work, or maybe she would be venting to me about one of the boys, one of her sons. Um, I would bring up the Bible, and now she never necessarily like um she never reacted to me the way I react to her, but very rarely she would kind of just stay quiet. Like she would just stay quiet, like, okay, she bringing up the Bible. I'm not gonna say nothing. But like that's just it's just impossible not to bring up the Bible when you see it playing out in real life. It's hard to not be like, "Ooh, that's Bible." Like I say that all the time. Like that's Bible. I see that in the Bible, whatever. Um, it's just really it's really hard. Like I really truly tried to live my life um scripturally as much as possible. Um, sometimes, I come short, but that's humanity. That's our human nature. We don't do it on purpose. But sometimes it's a little bit difficult to stay in line. But it's okay. Because if you really bout it, you know that, uh-oh, I'm about to crash and burn. Let me get back on the road. Oh my goodness. I really thought that this was going to be heavier, but I've been able to conjure up memories that I didn't really um it wasn't I was like the Holy Spirit is allowing me to remember all the good times that we always the good times that we always had, instead of coming here and telling y'all about all the things that she used to do or say that would hurt me. Um, because in reality, a lot of that had to do with just me not having the tools in order to deal with my emotions. Like, yes, the things that she said were sometimes unacceptable, but if I knew how to deal, then it wouldn't have been a huge thing like it used to be back then. Um, and I used to beg her, like, once I realized that, because I saw it, like, I really saw death around the corner. And I remember telling her, especially once she told me that she was going to get retired, I'm very knowledgeable. Like, I've been around enough elderly to know what happens when they get retired, especially it happens more so if the person was a hard worker, if they were doing, you know, strenuous, hard work, like a construction worker who did that his entire life until retirement. That person more than not is going to pass away within a year because you are using your body to the highest capacity. And now you're not. Now you're at home sitting around watching TV doing nothing. And so the body is like, oh, okay, I guess it's time to go. We don't need to put in the effort no more. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but that's the best way I could say it. And so I knew she started talking about retirement when she turned 60. And so I don't know, it was probably by like 62 that I was just like, my eyes was, the Lord allowed my eyes to be opened. And I remember begging her, like, I just want to have a good relationship with you before the time comes for you to go. Like, can we just have that? And that conversation actually happened in 2019, um, where I was like, I really think it's time for you to move out and go to grandma's house, because I'm trying to have a peaceful time with you, a better time with you. I'm trying to have a full year of just happiness with you instead of this nonsense. Like, okay, I do want to touch on this because I think I'm gonna sign off. Um, it's I've been talking long enough, but I do want to share that all that negativity that I shared in the beginning that she got from her family members and friends and whoever else that decided was going to be awful towards her when she got pregnant with me. That's energy that she brought my way. When I was in the 7th grade, I had a really bad stomach virus. Couldn't keep anything down, just kept throwing up, throwing up. And she wanted to take me to the doctor, but I really didn't want to go. Like, I just always energetically never been about the hospital. Like, it, our hospital was Kings County, and it just the smell of going into Kings County. Like, it wasn't a terrible smell, but it was a smell of vaccinations. Like, you could smell the vaccinations, and I just didn't like it. Um, and anyway, so she wanted me to go, and I said no, I don't want to go. And I overheard her talking with someone. I don't know who the person was, but I think I'm safe to say that it may be my aunt that she was talking with. And she was just saying, oh, I don't know, maybe she hiding something, which is to say, maybe I'm pregnant. Mind you, I'm in middle school. And the fact that she thought that really like shocked me. Like, you really think that I'm out here? I mean, I couldn't see what other people saw, but what other people saw was a grown woman. If you covered my face and just saw my body, you would think that I was a grown woman because puberty came and just the hips came, the boot, like, it was ridiculous. It was honestly ridiculous. The only thing that didn't come super fast was my breast. Like that took forever. It, I was still in my 20s and my breasts were growing. Like it was ridiculous. Um, but anyway, I hated the attention that I got from guys after that. Like, anyways, but that's not for now. So, that really got me upset. And I just remember busting into her bedroom, like, okay, so, like, let's just go. And I spent my entire, like, a good chunk of my life trying to prove my mom that I am a good child. And it stressed me out because she just did not believe it. But she didn't believe it because of the things that she went through. And so obviously I have a stomach virus. I'm not pregnant. Stupid. Um, so it happened again when I was engaged. When I was engaged, I was always um by his apartment. I mean, I was in my mid-20s and he was actually the person who I lost my virginity with. And she was like I slept though. I used to sleep over and all of that, but I'm in my 20s, y'all. Okay? Like, mind you, I'm in my 20s. And she's like, oh, you never home, this, that, and the third, you be coming home late or whatever. Like you think I'm stupid, like I know what's happening. And I was like, so what's happening then? What's happening? Since you know, tell me what's happening. Because since you want to finally have this conversation, let's have it. Never talk to me about the birds and the bees, as North Americans say. Never talk to me about that. Never talk to me about having a period. Never talk to me about none of the things. So since you want to have that conversation now, let's have it. And of course, she didn't want to have the conversation because baby boomer having those type of conversations is just unacceptable. I'm telling y'all need to have these conversations with your children. Don't allow the feeling of uncomfortability keep you from having important conversations with your children. Because if my mom would have had the sex talk with me, I think I would have kept my virginity a lot longer than, what was it, 23, 24, a lot longer than that. And I am not even ashamed of that. I am proud of myself that I was able to stay sort of clean for that long, you know? And so, anyways, then the person that I talked to after my engagement, the dude that I talked to after my engagement, him and I weren't in a relationship, um, or I should say an official relationship. That was the situationship that I kind of allude to here and there. Um, she came home and found him leaving the apartment. Like he was in the apartment. It was really strange the way it was like we were friends, we were mother and daughter, but now you're living in my apartment, but also I still have to respect you, right? And I get that. I actually understand that a little bit more now, and I do see how that could be disrespectful. And I understand, like, I really truly understand it, but still, it's like, even though it's disrespectful to a certain extent, it's like, don't make me feel bad because I have a guy over the apartment when you're not here. Like you weren't here. You're not even supposed to be here now. You're supposed to be in Brooklyn. Um, but you are here and you're seeing him leave the house. Okay, so what? But you know what she decided to do? She decided that she was gonna try to talk to me on my way out of the apartment to work and tell me, oh, I just want you to know that if you get pregnant, I'm not going to help you. And I'm just like, excuse me? it was like the whole "you were a mistake" all over again. Because I know that she doesn't mean that. I know that she doesn't mean that, but she's going back to her factory settings, if you will. You're going back to your factory settings of how people treated you. And now you have the audacity to tell me that if I get pregnant, you're not going to help me. You never even said what you were doing here. In fact, if you would have come in and nobody was up yet, you would have seen that I was in the bed in your bedroom sleeping while he was in my bedroom sleeping. Now, I'm not saying something didn't happen, but what I'm saying is your perception would have been different. But here you are, because you see wine glasses and whatnot. Here you are assuming instead of having this adult conversation with me, you just want to be this nasty, disgusting person that people were with you when you were pregnant. Like it's that those type of dark moments that we had with each other. But I'm happy that majority of this was more about the fun conversations and the good times. And yeah, I'm really happy the way this turned out, even though I kind of just ruined it with those things. But those things didn't happen super often, but because they're so heavy, it felt like it happened more often than not. Which, I don't know why. I don't know why life is that way. I don't know why negative energy just feels heavier. But it just really speaks to how important it is to have positive self-talk, to have positive people around you, encouraging people around you. This is why, if I could kind of go back to a couple videos ago, this is why it was very important for me to detach myself from my relationship to my eldest brother, is because this negativity is not something that I want around me anymore. And if I have to protect my future children from you, I will, and you would never see them. They would never meet you, and that would be a real shame, because that's not truly what I want, you know? Um, anyways, so I'm gonna end with that. Um, oh, look at that. I think this is a perfect time. That's my mama, y'all. We were at Six Flags. All right. Well, I see y'all. Um, Next video will be my very last for the season. Um, this was an interesting first one. Oh, look. So this is for my prom, my high school prom. This is my grand aunt. Remember that story I told you about where somebody um got what do you call it? Somebody gave a child up for adoption, and one of my grand aunts went and kidnapped the child back. That was her. she she was a G, yo. I love that woman. That woman was just, when I tell you, lived life to the absolute fullest. She really inspires me, and I try to keep her spirit, her image in my head as much as possible, to remember in those days where I feel like I don't really want to do a thing or something like that. I really try to channel her energy and just live life to the fullest, because this life that we have right here in this content, it's only one. The next life is going to be completely different, and worthy of its own type of energy. This is one type of energy, and the other one is going to be a different type of energy, and I want both to be a positive one. a good one that I could reminisce and say that was awesome. It wasn't all great, but it was awesome, you know. Um, my mom used to work in a nursing home. She was a CNA or an HHA. I don't know which one, but she used to take care of them old folks. Um, and she probably had both certifications, actually. The one thing that I regret that I did to her, oh, I love this picture. To her death certificate, I was reading it the other day, and I remember that I told the lady to put that she's um, like a Black woman. I think it says African American, I'm not sure, or maybe it just says Black. But I honestly regret that I did that because I was allowing society to really dictate my emotions. And every now and again, I have to check myself and untangle myself from that toxicity because she's not just Black, she is Latina, okay? She was Latin, and to not put Afro Latina on her death certificate, I really regret that. I really, really do. Getting sucked in by this negative energy in this country. It's ridiculous. Anyways, I'm signing off. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Leave a comment below. Like, let me know that you made it to the very end. All right. I'll see y'all around. Later.